I'm extremely excited to announce a brand new sponsor for the Behind the Shield podcast, and that is Rescue One CBD. For any of you who have listened to this podcast for the last 8 years, you would have heard my own personal journey from using prescription pills after a knee surgery to finding CBD and having incredible success with that. Now, I'm sure everyone listening is fully aware that we have an epidemic when it comes to the use of nicotine pouches, dip, and other products. Now, to combat this, John from Rescue One has developed a nicotine-free pouch called the RIP pouch. It's the first and only pouch that contains CBG, nootropics, and B vitamins for both energy and mental clarity. And as with all of their products, is tested to ensure it is 0.000% THC free. So completely trusted for anyone in uniform. And they always send a drug test with their products just to give you guys peace of mind. Now, the pre-sale for this incredible product has just begun and goes on till October 1st. So if you go to rescue1cbd.com, you can register for the pre-sale and make sure it ships the moment it is available. Now, on top of all that, Rescue One is offering you, the listener of the Behind the Shield podcast, 15% off your order if you use the code BTS, as in Behind the Shield. And you can find all of their products, you can find all of the testing and understand why this truly is a product that you can trust by going to rescue1cbd.com. And you can listen to my conversation with John on episode 1011 of the Behind the Shield podcast. This episode is brought to you by Thorne, and I have some incredible news for any of you that are in the military, first responder, or medical professions. In an effort to give back, Thorne is now offering you an ongoing 25% off each and every one of your purchases of their incredible nutritional solutions. Now, Thorne is the official supplement of CrossFit, the UFC, the Mayo Clinic, the Human Performance Project, and multiple special operations organizations. I myself have used them for several years, and that is why I brought them on as a sponsor. Some of my favorite products they have are their Multivitamin Elite, their Whey Protein, the Super EPA, and then most recently, Cinequil. As a firefighter, a stuntman, and a martial artist, I've had my share of brain trauma and sleep deprivation, and Cinequil is their latest brain health supplement. Now, to qualify for the 35% off, go to thorne.com, thorne.com. Click on sign in and then create a new account. You will see the opportunity to register as a first responder or member of military. When you click on that, it will take you through verification with GovX. You'll simply choose a profession, provide one piece of documentation, and then you are verified for life. From that point onwards, you will continue to receive 35% off through Thorne. Now, for those of you who don't qualify, there is still the 10% off using the code BTS10, Behind the Shield 10, for a one-time purchase. Now, to learn more about Thorne, go to episode 323 of the Behind the Shield podcast with Joel Totoro and Wes Barnett. Welcome to the Behind the Shield podcast. As always, my name's James Gearing, and this week it is my absolute honor to welcome back onto the show CEO of NuCalm, Jim Poole. Now, if you haven't heard the initial conversation I did with Jim on episode 806, hit stop now, go back and listen to that first. He does an incredible job of leading you through the origin story of NuCalm and why it is so pertinent for each and every one of you that are listening now. In the second conversation, we take a deep dive back into NuCalm and cancer prevention, the acute and chronic impact of sleep deprivation, how I truly believe NuCalm should be used to punctuate shifts before going home, what they're seeing as far as brain injury healing, addiction, and so much more. Now, before we get to this incredible conversation, as I say every single week, please just take a moment. Go to whichever app you listen to this on, subscribe to the show, leave feedback, and leave a rating. Every single 5-star rating truly does elevate this podcast, therefore making it easier for others to find. And this is a free library of over 1,100 episodes now. So, all I ask in return is that you help share these incredible men and women's stories so I can get them to every single person on planet Earth who needs to hear them. So, with that being said, I welcome back onto the show Jim Poole. Enjoy. Well, Jim, I want to start by saying welcome back onto the Behind the Shield podcast. You were my guest in August 2023, episode 806, which I just reposted. So people listening to this, you don't have to go far back to find the original conversation. So a couple years later, we are sitting down again. So welcome back.
Thanks for having me. 800 conversations with people. That's a lot.
We're up to over 1,100 now. So
1,100
crazy.
Conversations with people. That's a lot.
It is. It is. 1,100 solutions, the way I look at it. It's just connecting the people with the solutions to the people with the problems. So
wonderful.
All right. Well, first question, where on planet Earth are we finding you today? Because I know you're all over the planet usually.
I am home in Tampa. Tomorrow I head to Las Vegas, but I am home in lovely Tampa, Florida. So when we first spoke, I lived in Delaware. I lived there for 22 years, raised our girls. And before our youngest daughter graduated high school, we sold our home in Delaware and we moved to Tampa 3 weeks after she graduated. So I live in Tampa, Florida now.
What are your thoughts of Florida, being a Florida guy myself?
Probably a lot of complicated thoughts of Florida, but a couple of things I really like. One, vitamin D, the sun. I love it. Two, I love the birds of paradise and all the kind of cool wildlife here. So it's equatorial and it's different for me in the Northeast. So I grew up Northeast, so I like that. And then the way that we our home is situated, we abut nothing but nature behind us. We've got a nice pool, so so I like the peace. And this is a good one for any of you workaholics. You'll appreciate this. I know no neighbors, so we've lived here for 13 months. I still don't know any neighbors. So no one bothers me. I get to just do my work, do my job, and I love it. So yeah, so far so good. I like the ocean. We're on the West Coast, as you know, and I like the pristine nature of the beach there. I would like to have more waves. And then two of my daughters go to school in Boca Raton. So we kind of go bi-coastal. But other than that, I don't really have much thoughts on Florida and Floridians at this point. I haven't had enough interaction to create an opinion, but I do like the pace. I like the pace.
I think it's a beautiful state. And this is the problem. Sometimes we look at some of the humans and judge the state by it. And that's the wrong way of doing it. You know what I mean? If there was a sudden, apocalypse where everyone lost the ability to talk, I think you'd realize it's a much nicer place than people think. Because I mean, I where I live is just a community in Ocala, and we have everything from pelican to storks to herons to cranes to all kinds of birds of prey. And, it is a beautiful, beautiful place. And then I go to the East Coast normally, and, there are the waves there, and it's just this, beautiful white sand. And then someone will chirp about, politics or whatever. And it's like, it doesn't matter. That's not about where we live. Where we live is this beautiful country, whether you're in the UK or Australia or, the US or anywhere else around the world. The people, especially the politicians, do not define your quality of life.
No, and we're lucky to live in America and be free to live where we want to live. I love the nature part of it, and I love the pace. The humidity I could probably do without, but hey, it's a trade-off I'll take, because in the wintertime, I know you can't shovel sunshine. So I'm going to be really happy when things are happening back in the Northeast not to be. So yeah, I like it here.
Absolutely. What about, you touched on, work life at the moment. I know in all the conversations that we've had how much traveling you do, and what you're promoting is something that truly is life-saving. There's no other way to describe it. So I can totally obviously understand your mission. Mine's the same thing. Every day you're waking up, that by, pushing your message in this case, the ability to reach people that really need it is so important. How do you balance that with time with family, time at home, and just simply your ability to downregulate?
NuCalm is my down regulator, so it's a trap. It's my obsession. It's my purpose. It's my mission. It consumes most of my mental calories. It certainly consumes my time and my attention. And then I can downregulate and go do rescue and come back and everything's hunky-dory and rosy again. On the life's balance and life having things in your life, there's been a shift over the last few years as we've grown and gotten and more busy and more demand, less hobbies. So the only hobby that I have today would be exercise every morning and my family. So it's a very simple life now, James. I have work, I have exercise in the morning, I still have hygiene and food and things that I need as a human to live, and family. And other than that, there's there's nothing in my life. I used to play lead guitar in a rock band, and I love photography and all that stuff. It's in the dugout until this kind of reaches its conclusion.
Well, I want to get to, where this needs to go. But even though I put the episode out for people that happen to be listening to this for the first time, if you want to just give an overview of the backstory of NuCalm. I know obviously we spent a whole entire episode discussing it last time, but just an overview, and then we'll dive into some of the progressions that you've made the last couple of years.
So NuCalm is amazing. It's a very good word to describe it. It's wonderful. It's mythical. It's mysterious. It's magical. But it's all founded in science. So in 1990, 35 years ago, the brilliant neuroscientist, quantum physicist, naturopath went on a quest to try to figure out a way to naturally help downregulate stress for complex trauma, and addiction. In the profile of humanity, those are the most difficult profiles to live with because of the locus of control, the power of the amygdala and your fight or flight, and you're constantly in this state of fear, and you're constantly in this state of high frequency. So that's the genesis of how this all started. It took this incredibly gifted intellect 19 years to figure this out. And it's not because he was lazy, and it's not because he was incompetent. This is the complexity of the human brain. So what he ended up inventing is a method in the form of software. The software has a lot of complexity to it, a lot of math, a lot of algorithms, and then we put music on top of the software. Here's what's cool about NuCalm. You put headphones on and you select how you want to feel. There is no effort. There is no training. There's no pill. There is no side effects. There's nothing. The neuroscience does all the work. And what we're doing is we're using your ears like a Trojan horse to present your brain with signals. Now your brain synchronizes to these signals. So we have created, for the first time in history, a method for humans to regulate how they think, their mood, and their behavior with simply a headphone and a mobile app. And you can go from the deepest levels of sleep to the highest levels of intensity and everywhere in between simply by using physics, and thus not being reliant on caffeine, alcohol, recreational drugs, pharmaceuticals, sleeping pills. We've changed the game. So it's a monumental big deal. And I've been running this company for 16 years, and I still can't grasp the magnitude of what this invention can do for many, many centuries to come in how humans regulate themselves.
Well, I'm sure I said this last time we spoke as well, and I stand by it 2+ years later. I think this should be an essential tool for every first responder between the end of their shift and when they get in their car and actually head home. Because the down regulation ability of rescue, 20-minute rescue or 20-minute power nap, to take a sleep-deprived, highly stressed first responder and just to give them the ability to down-regulate and have, as you normally allude to, the equivalent of about one sleep cycle, so 90 minutes of sleep, before you get behind the wheel, navigate all that traffic, and then walk through the door as mom or dad. I think that alone should be an industry standard.
I agree. And it would change everybody's life. It would change the first responder's life. It would change the family of the first responder's life. It would liberate that first responder to not be in this exhausted state of faking it till they make it when they come through the door. They should be present. They should have access to joy and gratitude and love and all the things that they deserve with their family. Not get home and be like, I need seclusion for a few minutes and get my head together, whatever that is. However, they've figured out how to cope. It doesn't have to be that way. So I think that's a great use case. And I agree. And I think one of the biggest challenges that we have as a neuroscience company bringing this to the world is when we go to help caretakers, they're not easy to take care of. Caretakers are not easy to take care of. So if I say, here, let us provide some help to you for all the sacrifice and service that you give to us, it doesn't often get received with open ears and open arms.
Well, I think the other thing that I've seen is you have good days and bad days when, anytime. And so when I've used NuCalm, there's times where I've gone pretty early into a deep state of relaxation. And sometimes I wake myself up snoring a little bit. But there's other times where you're not. You're still, your mind was obviously a little busier. But the fact that it's out of your hands as far as the down regulation, I think that's the key. If I try and meditate, which I do as well, and I think that's fantastic, there's times where the monkey mind won't shut up. So you still do your meditation practice. It still has an effect, but it maybe isn't as effective as some of the other ones. Whereas with the NuCalm, no matter where your mind is at, you can't help but be down regulated. And one thing that was really interesting to me, when I think I talked about this last time as well, is once you get into that deeper phase of those 20 minutes, I go to think about something and my brain is like, no, it's the weirdest thing that you cannot think about that thing that you want to think about because your brain has already dropped you into that different state. So, and then that feeling of kind of being sucked into the bed. So I'm not a big believer in biohacks and shortcuts and, snake oil. So when I went into this, I was just open-minded, like, all right, let me observe exactly what I'm feeling. But now here we are, well over 2 years, almost 3 years, I think, of using NuCalm. And, and then we're going to get to some of the upgrades that you've done. It doesn't matter what state you're in. If you put that in the down regulation, the sleep mask and the headphones on, you go back into the bunk room after you've been relieved, or you sit in your squad car in the safety of the station before you leave home, and you just do 20 minutes. It is incredible how that will down regulate you, and you'll feel so much more rested before arguably a pretty treacherous drive for a lot of sleep deprived first responders going home.
Absolutely. So for the listeners who weren't on the first one, NuCalm is an experience. It's immersive. We're literally going to put you in a state that's synonymous with being a monk. And most first responders are not monks. So how do we do this? Well, we have the neuroacoustic software. That's the software that we're using to present the brain with signals. And we're literally like a dial. We're either slowing down your brainwave frequency or increasing it. Rescue and Power Nap, which James is alluding to, they're designed to bring your brain to the healing state. And the healing state is a frequency called theta. It's 4 hertz to 7 hertz. And it lies just above deep sleep. So in this state, like a lucid dream state, this is where your cells clean their toxins and your mitochondria is restored. This is the healing zone of humans. This is why humans must sleep. So we are going to take you there. And we're going to take you there with math and physics. Very precise and very predictable. Now, how do we do it? You find a safe, comfortable place. It can be in the bunk. You put an eye mask on. Well, why do you need an eye mask? Because we are visually stimulated by light. You do not sleep with your eyes open. You don't meditate with your eyes open. You can't even relax with your eyes open. So we're going to negate stimulation to the eyes. Then you put headphones on and you select play. That's it. The first few minutes, nothing's really happening. You're probably listening through what just happened in your shift or what's for dinner tonight or whatever. And then all of a sudden, you start to fall into your bunk. And your brain starts thinking about weird stuff, like anything. And you can't stay on a thought pattern. And then most of us who are sleep deprived, we skip off of sleep. So you wake yourself up snoring or whatever it is. This isn't designed for you to fall into deep sleep. It's designed to hold you in theta, But your brain is smarter than our technology. And if you are fatigued, you'll fall in and out of sleep. That's it. The experience is set it and forget it. We do all the work. But when you get up, my goodness, you have no idea. Number one, you have no idea how much stress you've been carrying with you until it's gone. Number two, you feel very grounded and you feel physically relaxed, but you feel mentally clear. Like, wow, I really want to take that drive home and I can't wait to hug my wife or my husband and see my kids. It changes everything about your mental capacity, your emotional capacity, and your physical health and well-being. So it's an amazing 20-minute gift. I think of Blake and I think, who was this amazing human being who dedicated his life to finding a way to help us humans be better humans? All this is doing is helping me be a better human being. And it can do that for anybody. And I know we'll speak to the different use cases, but we've been serving humanity for 16 years. Millions and millions of people have experienced the benefit of meditating like a monk in 20 minutes without ever even having to spell meditation. So the opportunity is in front of us. And I know, James, you're spending a lot of your time, energy, and effort. This is a quest for James to help first responders take care of themselves, because your life doesn't need to be all in on the sacrifice and nothing in on taking care of you, because the end game isn't fun for anybody.
Absolutely. Well, I want to jump into some of the different areas where this is making a huge difference, but understanding the audience and the profession, buy-in is a big element of it. So who are some of the groups, organizations, professions that are trusting NuCalm now with their men and women?
We started in medicine. So we started actually with complex trauma and addiction. That was the starting case. But in that profile and in that clinical setting, it's not easy to discern the impact that your technology is having on long-term chronic stress or illness. So we shifted, and in November 5th, 2009, we began serving medical surgeries. So in a surgery, instead of having general anesthesia and a benzodiazepine and suppressing your central nervous system, you're wearing an eye mask, headphones, and you're listening to our physics being operated on. That pretty much negates all skepticism right there. 2,600,000 surgical procedures replacing general anesthesia. Now, how do we do that? Well, when your brain is at 4 hertz, if you look at the interviews of post-surgical patients, it's unbelievable. They'll say, hey, I knew you were operating on me. I couldn't find a place to care. That state is 4 hertz. So that's how we started. All right. So here we are, James. It's 2009. We're just beginning. We have 52 medical advisors, and we're doing research with Harvard and NASA, and we're looking at stage 4 cancer. And we're studying the Chicago Blackhawks, and we're doing all of this hardcore science clinical validation behind the scenes while we're doing these surgeries and beginning to commercialize this concept. This back then is a $6,000 FDA class 3 medical device. But here's what we start learning. People are going for operations. Ha ha ha. All kinds of people. Pilots, professional athletes, military, FBI. So we start as a company, we're doing our science, we're doing our invention, but we start to get inquiries from different industries. So along the way, beginning in 2011, we start working with the elite military operators, Special Forces, Navy SEALs, BORTAC and BORSTAR with the Border Patrol, the FBI Hostage Rescue Team, SWAT. And back then, for their purposes, it's expedited recovery without drugs. How can you allow these elite operators to be mission ready and to deploy and do the mission with great efficacy and safety without having to worry about malnourishment, dehydration, acclimatization, altitude sickness, you name it? This literally regulated their brain and gave them that 2 hours of restorative sleep in 20 minutes and allowed them to operate and have access to their muscle memory and their training, not to be plagued by insecurity, confusion, self-doubt, that mental kind of fatigue that happens to all first responders, right? At some point with the sleep deprivation, you're mentally not as sharp. So that was it's an impressive elite group. And for those of you listening, you don't work with Special Forces operators and Navy SEALs without tremendous vetting and validation. And we've been working with them for 14 years. On the FBI side, and the FBI Hostage Rescue Team, the same. And then we started working with pilots. We work with the FedEx Pilots Union for pilot fatigue, safety, and restorative sleep. Again, that's a union. We work with 78 professional sports teams. I used to be a avid sports fan of almost any sport. I mean, I'll watch anything. I'll watch badminton. I'll watch cricket. I don't even understand cricket. I just love sports. But now that I'm pretty consumed with the mission, I don't watch as many sports. But there are a lot of people that love sports. So for your sports lovers, we've worked with 78 professional sports teams. Now, a lot of them we can't name just because of the competitive nature of sport. But we've worked with some teams that we can name that you'll recognize, like the Golden State Warriors winning the NBA World Championship, the Washington Capitals winning the Stanley Cup, the Chicago Blackhawks winning the Stanley Cup. You name it, we've done it. 58 UFC fighters, several world champions. At the US Open every year in tennis, we have a recovery lounge with NuCalm there. We take care of every player and their trainers, et cetera. So that's a good group. Again, you don't work on the world's best athletes, and they don't ritualize your product and use it every day if it doesn't work. If it doesn't work the first time, they're not using it twice. So the fact that we've worked with the best athletes in the world since 2011, that's a good one as well. Some of the best work we do, though, stage 4 cancer patients. And we've been working with the Comprehensive Cancer Wellness Program since 2014. This was founded by Dr. Janet Ranicky, an MD, PhD, and one of the world's leading psychoneuroimmunologists. She has, along with her, Dr. Michael Gallitzer, Dr. Rao. It's a whole group, and we were at the first program, and we are there every month. And NuCalm is the gift that keeps on giving. Literally, we're going to extend your life. Huh? Yeah, NuCalm, listening to something will keep you alive when you have stage 4 metastatic cancer. That is unbelievable. And it is so amazing and such a gift and reward to look someone in the face who's frightened. And they've gone through chemo and radiation, and they've gone through everything you can think of. They're broken. They feel hopeless. And you say, listen, you don't need to make plans for your transition. You're going to live. What? Yeah, we're not curing cancer, James. We're not curing cancer. Your body has the capacity to manage any disease. And in that disease, when you got diagnosed with cancer, you were so consumed with stress and cortisol and fear and anxiety and overwhelm and confusion, you stopped sleeping. And so when your body needed sleep and restoration the most, it got it the least, which accelerated the disease and depreciated your body. We don't care. We're not keeping score. All you have to do is use rescue during the day and deep sleep at night. And within a couple days, we balance your nervous system. We balance your nervous system because a balanced nervous system gives you the capacity to fight and to heal from anything. So yeah, that's an incredible opportunity, incredible gift. And we've been doing this since 2014. And I'll tell you a funny story. It's not funny. It's amazing. In January, began our presentation. And Dr. Ranicky said, Jim, we have a special guest here with us today. Okay. And she named her name. And she said, you may remember her from October 2014. She was at our first program. Back then, she was given 3 months to live. 11 years ago.
Amazing.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I did this 2 weeks ago to a couple dozen people, stage 4 cancer. And there was someone in the room, and this was Wednesday. This makes me crazy. And she was told she's dying on Friday. Dying in 48 hours. You're going to be gone on Friday. I was like, and I looked at her and said, no, you're not. No, you're not. And guess what? We heard from her today. So this, hopefully for your audience, this illustrates not, hey, it's helping cure cancer. No. This illustrates the power of restoration. It illustrates the power of recovery, and it illustrates the power of sleep. Because when you're given those things, you can do anything. You will not be fatigued. You can go through a long shift. You can go through some horrific accident that you had to witness, and you can resolve that. You can process the trauma. You can stay on a healthy keel by recovering, restoring, and sleeping well all the time.
It truly is amazing. And it really aligns with something that I just feel, within my gut, as it were, about the whole cancer thing. I don't think we give the human body even close to enough credit as far as its ability to heal. But it obviously reflects the environment. If we give it a lot of poor food, if we're exposing it to all kinds of toxins, and then we're sleep depriving it, and then we're adding stress, you're giving the body all these assaults, and then you're not giving it the ability to rest and recover. It deviates from homeostasis, and that's the disease state. So then, let's say, for example, you take the classic chemo model, like, all right, well, we're just going to Agent Orange the whole body and fingers crossed that the good cells survive. From someone that was in medicine for 14 years, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Now, I understand. Like, I just was, had a friend who's got a young daughter who's in hospice care now. That I just can't even imagine. So I'm not in any way, shape, or form judging anyone's desire to do whatever they think it will take to save, especially if it's a child. But when you're able to take a step back and you're not emotionally attached to that, it doesn't make any sense. And I think this is why some of these, the juicing resorts and the meditation resorts and going to Switzerland like people did a long time ago and getting the clean air and the hiking and all that stuff, why you see some of these miraculous results, because you've allowed the body to be an environment where it can do the healing itself. And so what you're talking about with NuCalm is, again, down regulation, removing that stress. It does make sense that you're giving the body a higher chance of reversing that cancer within it.
It's incredible. And, cancer feeds off stress and sugar. Okay. So help me with the nutrition. But it's really difficult to regulate the stress. And we see this with complex trauma and trauma. It's really challenging for me to look at somebody with complex trauma and say, here, let me teach you how to meditate, because I know better. Their amygdala is inflamed. Their ability to trust is gone. And their circuitry of their brain physiologically has changed. So they're not going to meditate. The amygdala won't allow that. So it'll find fault in something. So this opportunity to say, hey, listen, I don't care that you have cancer, and I don't care that you're stressed and worried. It doesn't matter. We're simply going to take you and put you in a place that allows you personally to heal. So yeah, it's that's the best work that we do. And it would be hard to argue that there's another group of humans that I like serving more than that, because it's amazing the work that we can do and that we are doing and will do. And, a lot of times, James, our energy is focused on the audiences and the people that have the biggest need and the quietest voice. And at the same time, we do cool things, right? I do get to do cool things, right? But the humility of understanding the brain and the work that we do democratizes everybody. I don't get starstruck. I don't get in awe of people. Their life is their life. In fact, their stress may be greater than most of our stress because of the way society puts stars and athletes on pedestals and then creates a non-trusting environment. Everything in their makeup is constantly evaluating things for truth. I don't live like that. I don't live in a state of paranoia and think, hey, is that person speaking to me because they like me personally, or they like my checkbook? So,
yeah, exactly. I made that observation even with some people that I've had on the show. You can see it when I'm talking to them, and then it kind of comes down when they realize there's no ulterior motive. But yeah, if you're surrounded by people that you're not sure if they're a wolf in sheep's clothing, then it's not a very fun environment. And I've always said the same about being in crime. Say you are one of these heads of these drug syndicates, and you've got all the cars and all the women and all the mansions. But every single day, you're wondering if your henchman's going to stick a knife in your back, if the FBI are going to burst through the door. What kind of life is that? So I guarantee you, if you crawl inside the head of every, mafioso, they're probably miserable inside.
Well, they're definitely stressed.
Yeah. I don't know how much NuCalm could help that particular situation.
At some point, they may say, you know what, maybe this isn't the life for me. I'm stressed just
Exactly.
thinking about that. I'm like, wow, you got the good guys and the bad guys. Both of them want a piece of you. No, thank you.
Exactly. Well, we're going to get to some of the other innovations, but I think one of the most exciting things, aside from NuCalm itself and the kind of metamorphosis of some of the programs that you have on there, is the stress assessment. And again, I've told you this before. My mum is one of the biggest evangelists now of NuCalm. She's been through a lot of stuff, and it's hands down been amazing for her. And she was telling me about the stress assessment and doing it, and she was kind of seeing the benefits on on her app. And interestingly, I just did it myself. I sent you the results the other day, and I've done NuCalm now for a long time. And the score was excellent. I was like, oh my god! Now, stress and my ability to feel rested when I wake up still a little disjointed, but I think that is a phenomenal tool that you can add into all of this, especially with the people listening. The ability to either, when you get home, to say, okay, well, how am I doing stress-wise? And then do a NuCalm and then check yourself on the other side. Or even as a crew, before you even start your shift, okay, do we need to send people off to take a nap early in the shift because, they obviously had a rough night last night. So with that kind of monologue, prequel, as it were, talk to me about the development of the stress assessment. And again, which of these populations are you seeing are really leaning into this now?
So the stress assessment is incredible. And it's taken us a long time, a lot of work. We've wanted it for so long, and it's here. It took us 9 years of work with physicists building out the actual assessment tool itself. So let's start with quantified self. Let's start with, I think, probably the Fitbit, and then morphed into the Apple Watch, morphed into the Whoop Band, the Garmin, the Oura Ring, and all the gizmos and gadgets that are coming afterwards. We as a species have started to rely on quantified measurements to evaluate how we're doing, from our steps to our heart rate, to our oxygenation, to our sleep. And I think we've actually lost some of our own intuition. I never really needed an Oura Ring to tell me if I slept well. I know intuitively. In fact, I would find that the score was demoralizing and actually made me angry. When I saw it, I'd be like, no shit. I know I didn't sleep well last night. I don't need you telling me that. So here's the challenge with these gizmos and gadgets. Consumers are not dumb, but they are not learned in how to create quantified self. They don't know the biometrics necessary to create an accurate reading. Well, we're a neuroscience company. So I'm not overly excited to partner with companies that are bringing out to the world products that have to sacrifice accuracy for convenience. I'm not going to do it. Now, I do think there is value in the trend. You might be able to ascertain trend lines, but there is limited value in the specific score. For example, for you listeners out there, HRV is a hot topic. It's a buzzword. HRV 10 years ago, no one even knew it existed. It was the medical grade evolution from galvanic skin response. Galvanic skin response basically measures the electrophoresis on your skin if you're sympathetically driven, and it's the technology behind a lie detector test. But it was unpredictable and easily tricked. HRV came to the world more than a decade ago, and it was really led by a guy named Dr. Chung-Kang Pang at Harvard Medical School, a mathematician. And essentially what HRV does is it's a measurement of your stress response by measuring the interstitial chaos between your heartbeat. And the specific measurement requires millions of data points, precise data. And to get true HRV, you need a single lead ECG device attached to your heart. So if I said, hey, James, let's see how NuCalm's doing for HRV, take your shirt off. What? Yeah. Put this on your chest. Okay. And then we take the data and then we spit it out to Harvard Medical School, and Dr. Chung-Kang Pang, who's the world's leading preeminent mathematician and expert in HRV, who actually happened to invent the multi-scale mathematical models that all the HRV tools use. That's who was doing our research back in 2011. So we became experts in HRV, and I've done lots of lectures on HRV. So we understand this. It is impossible for you to think as a human, if you know anything about this, that a ring can capture enough data points to give me an effective, accurate measurement of my heart. It defies logic. It doesn't make any sense. So we never really played in that arena. So you can imagine, James, if we come to the world and we have the only patented solution clinically proven to balance the nervous system of a human being. We did that. July of 2015. We were awarded the only patent in the world for balancing the nervous system without drugs. Wouldn't it be nice if we had a quantified measure to showcase what it's doing, not just your intuition? That is what we did with the stress assessment. So for years, more than 40 years, there's been a whole science around the physics of voice and voice capture and voice analysis. We see the manifestations in Alexa and all these other voice technologies that are out there. But very rarely have they applied voice technology to actual biometric quantified measurements of health. So there's a physicist we've been working with for years. I've known him for almost 10 years. And he's been working on taking voice and actually moving it to a quantified measure. So the voice assessment launched last month. What is it? You record a 35-second recording of your voice by holding your phone 6 inches from your mouth and a little to the side so you don't spit into the microphone. In 35 seconds, James, we can capture more than 1 million data points. This is mind-boggling for me. I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, your mom's still alive. She's an evangelist for NuCalm. If you called her after this call and she was histrionic and totally fearful, within a nanosecond, you know this. If you call her and she's elated and can't wait to share this amazing story with you, in a nanosecond, you know this. You see, the voice is an expression of our nervous system. This most people don't know. Your voice is an expression and an amplification of your nervous system. How is that? How's that possible? Well, the vagus nerve, which is the longest nerve in the body, is a communication pathway of the autonomic nervous system. The stress response versus the rest response. The vagus nerve is the communication pathway of your nervous system. All right, great. Well, guess what? The vagus nerve is connected to the voice box and the vocal cords from the laryngeal nerve, a direct connection. What does this mean? This means that the vagus nerve and the voice are directly related. The voice is a direct amplification of your nervous system. So in this 35-second recording, we have all these algorithms and all this science to look at 10,000 specific data points, all directly related to your nervous system. So now the stress assessment, which is not available on the NuCalm app yet, you have to actually go through your NuCalm, account management portal online. On your phone, you go to www.nucalm.com and you log in. 35 seconds. The recording goes to our algorithms, and within 5 seconds, you're given a number between 1 and 100. The scale is red, which is no bueno. Orange, which is no bueno. Yellow, maybe bueno. Light green and green. 1 to 100 or 0 to 100. That's it. This is a coherence score that is the most accurate measurement of your nervous system at that moment in time. This is incredible to me. You could, if you wanted to, just for shits and giggles, I don't know why you would, but you could go to your doctor and have blood drawn. You can go to your doctor and submit a stool sample. You can go to your doctor and get a CT scan. You can go to your doctor and get a PET scan. You can go to your doctor and get an fMRI and an MRI, and you can collate all that data. It would be less precise than this 35-second measurement, specifically showcasing your nervous system. So you can imagine, here I am, I'm the CEO of this neuroscience company. We've helped millions of people. I've personally witnessed like 500 surgeries of people being operated on, wearing headphones and an eye mask. And it was like mind-blowing. But we've never been able to close the loop with a quantified measurement until now. So you can imagine we're pretty freaking excited to be like, here humans, you want quantified proof? Here it is. Now, here's what you noticed. And we're seeing a lot of this. Anybody who's been using NuCalm, specifically Rescue, on a regular basis, you've been building up your resilience piggy bank. Your resilience piggy bank is what every first responder should have. But I guarantee that they're all depleted. Their piggy bank, there's nothing in it. Every day you do rescue doesn't mean that tomorrow stress stops coming, or, everything's, cupcakes and unicorns and butterflies. No, it doesn't mean anything like that. But over time, you can literally see when I give the opportunity for NuCalm to balance my nervous system, and I do this repeatedly, the cumulative improvement is illustrated in that score. This is fascinating. I've got 3 girls, 23, 21, and 18, and my wife is 53. You would think that they were dying next to my scores. This is I am a hero in my home right now because I can't seem to get less than 90, and they can't seem to get in the 80s. Now it's fascinating. Number one, the score is built where a man's going to score higher than a woman because of the frequency and the pitch of a woman's voice is higher than a man's. And a lot of the algorithms are lower frequency. So we're already going to get a little higher score. So we haven't rigged it, but just so everybody knows, a man's going to score higher if all things are equal on this assessment. Number one. Number two, women have what's called hormonal dysregulation, whether it's post-puberty and menses, or it's pre, peri, post menopause. I can see it. Literally, I can see it. So here's what's cool. My wife will do a recording and she'll be like, oh, I got a 64. And she's demoralized. But then she'll go do a rescue for 30 minutes and she'll get, 79 to 81 or 82. So this assessment is really, really powerful. And this is not just for NuCalm. Right now, we're capturing a whole bunch of data, and the whole bunch of data is designed so that we can literally build out specific protocols for you based on your score. So we're kind of selfishly making sure we get all this data so we can build a big meta-analysis and do really cool personalized things in the near future. But this tool, like you asked, this is used across several different industries, and it's fascinating. It's used now in hospitality. We just signed a big agreement with the Intercontinental Singapore Hotel, the flagship for the Intercontinental. You check in. When you check in, hey, James, welcome from America. You must be a little jet lagged. Would you like to see the strength of your nervous system? So a 35-second voice recording when you check in. Then they say, hey, by the way, we have deep sleep available in everybody's room. What's deep sleep? You're going to sleep like a baby tonight, even though you're not home. So we're using that to assess what the experience is for the traveler, business traveler, tourist. Great. Pharmacies. Oh, pharmacies? So I'm going to go and get my prescription filled, and they're going to say, hey, Betty Lou, do you want to see how your nervous system's doing? Come into this room, do your 35-second recording. Wow. Hey, Betty Lou, I noticed here your nervous system's like a 60. Would you be interested in learning about all-natural, non-addictive therapy that can help you? Yeah. Would you like a 7-day free trial? Well, Mr. Pharmacist, no pharmacist ever offered me anything for free. So yes, I would. So we're using this pharmacy point of pickup, point of purchase. And then probably for your first responders, we're using this across the military. So literally to assess mission readiness before deployment on any mission, the ability to do a 35-second recording and then see exactly. You can see if my operator's at like 72, they're not going to be performing well when they go into a more stressful situation than just the pre-call, right? So at that point, you can say, you know what? Do a 20-minute rescue VT. We'll assess it afterwards, and let's go. So yeah, this tool, this is amazing. It's a huge game changer. I wouldn't say it's as parallel for us as launching 25th century neuroscience. For years, James, I sounded like an alien. Literally, I was like Spock meets Bones meets Captain Kirk. And that was to the medical community. No one understood what we did. When you invent something so pioneering, nobody knows. And there's no point of reference and there's no benchmark. So I've already gone down the path of bringing to the world something no one's ever heard of before. This is similar because people are like, what do you mean the voice? What do you mean you can do all that? I know. It's amazing. And we're now working on a sleep score. The nervous system is cool, but it requires some education because no one really understands the nervous system. You can say, hey, let me just keep this really simple. When your nervous system is in balance, everything in your life is easy. When your nervous system is out of balance, nothing is easy. So we balance your nervous system, everything's easy. Well, okay. But with sleep, that's even easier to understand. So this is an incredible advancement. It's 9 years in the making. I'm not a patient man by nature, but using rescue for 16 years has allowed me the humility to know there's a lot of things I can't force. So we're here, it's here, and I'm really happy that your mom's using it and that you can see exactly the impact NuCalm's having on her nervous system.
Yeah, not just my mom. My wife used it a lot, especially when she was in med school still, the anxiety. My son used deep sleep a lot. He kind of liked to have that, that noise in the background in his room. So I've seen numerous people use it. It's funny when you talk about the, having something that is true. I had a guest on, and he's actually coming back on in a couple of weeks, Professor Russell Foster. You hear a lot of these talking heads now saying, when you first wake up, go outside, get the sunlight on your eyes, it sets your circadian rhythm. Well, I've never heard anyone credit him with this, but the guy that found that out, that discovered that, was Professor Russell Foster. And he would present to the ophthalmology professions that there was this other receptor in the retina. It's not just rods and cones, this is other one, and it's tied into the chronobiology. And they would laugh him out of the hall, and he, like yourself, like me, when that something is true, was a door kicker, and that's why I love surrounding myself with people like that, because, we won't take no for an answer when that something is a truth and is going to help people. So he's an incredible guy, and it ended up being something he could prove in the rat model. And when it comes to sleep and chronobiology and all those things, he's absolutely amazing. But when I remember him telling me, I'm circling around now to the wearables, he said, a lot of these companies claim that they can, tell you when you're in deep sleep and REM sleep and all this stuff. And again, I'm all about back to basics. I'm not a smart guy, but I at least can hang on to principles and say, do they make sense? Like locking people up in their house and delivering fast food, is that going to make people safer against a virus? No. But what he was saying is, again, like you've got a ring on your finger or a watch on your wrist. He said even the EEG, when you have electrodes on your scalp, is still viewed almost as junk science. And so how the hell is a ring or a wristwatch going to tell you that you were in deep sleep? And this then, as he talks about, is like now you almost create this kind of psychosis focused on what this, phone display is telling you, rather than simply, do I feel tired? So what I love about this technology is it does make sense. And I think about it, if we want to put it in layman's terms, is where I live. If I have someone, come up to me and get in my face out in the street, my voice changes immediately. That's an emotional response. So, there is evidence of that. When you're very relaxed, what happens to your voice? You sound like a radio DJ, the one at midnight. When someone has cut you off in traffic, I'm not like, oh, someone just cut me off in traffic. I'm, 3 octaves higher and blood vessels sticking out my neck. So just circling around to kind of, touch on all those elements, it does make so much sense to me that removing any, distal jewelry and putting it directly into the area that we deal with in medicine. Like, I've got to be careful intubating someone because the vagus nerve is right there. I can lower their heart rate. That there would be this connection, and that would actually be a far more accurate way of telling our stress level. And if we reflect on what our voice does in different situations in real life, you can see it yourself.
And the voice doesn't lie, and you can't trick it. When we launched it, a gentleman that I respect emailed me and says, hey, can this be fooled? And I wrote back, it could be fooled if you knew the 10,000 data points we're evaluating, but you have no idea. So you really can't fool what you don't know we're looking at. This is about frequency, pitch distortion, interruptions, pause, tonality. I was in Vegas lecturing, and I got up and, in the morning, I have a deep voice anyway, but I sounded like Barry White. I was like, oh, this score is going to suck. It was a 92. Didn't care. And it's gender neutral with a little slight variance towards men having a higher score. and it's language agnostic. You can speak in Swahili, you can speak in Ukrainian. It doesn't matter. The language has no impact on the score. It just needs to be a quiet area, because for us, precision means a lot. Accuracy means a lot. If we're going to give you a score, we'll stand behind that score. So we have no filters in the audio capture. So the surrounding means a lot. So if you're taking a recording and a dog barks, or you're taking a recording and a truck drives by, it's going to create artifacts and it's going to distort your score. So other than that, yeah, it's really, really fun to, like you said, there's some things you just know. Well, guess what? We know we have the solution, and now we know we have the diagnostic to tell you, hey, maybe you need the solution now. So this is going to be a really cool next few months as we really bring this out to more and more people.
My, dead horse that I flogged for 9 years was the firefighter work week. And I actually just put a post out on social media today showing in the last 2 years, the 8 Florida fire departments and the House bill that all went in that direction already. So there's a revolution happening. And I think what's exciting is you're getting people now finally studying this. Now, my question is, why the hell weren't we studying this 10, 15, 20 years ago when the Northeast was working a 42-hour work week and the rest of America is working 56 in the same profession? But now they're going and they're saying, well, we're going to do studies. But again, it's HRV, it's cortisol, it's some of these things. And now, and I just literally learned about this, as you mentioned, it's just rolled out very recently. What a beautiful tool, whether it's someone doing an actual research paper or whether it's simply fire departments saying, hey, Pasco County, we're about to roll out in January 2026 from a 24/48 to a 24/72. So we're going to reduce our work week. If they have a Kelly, then it's a 48-hour work week. No Kelly is 56. So, by whatever that is, not to mention the mandatory overtime they used to have. So now, these departments that are at this shorter work week, what are their scores regularly versus these people that are in this broken system? And you could literally do that just with this, So I think it's really exciting for the individual to say, how am I doing today? But also for a station, how are we doing today? An entire department, how are we doing today? Or an entire profession, how are we doing in 2025? Who's doing well? Who's not doing well? And what are the reasons? And I guarantee you, one of the common denominators is going to be how many hours you work your people.
Of course. And one thing I like about the stress assessment is we often lie to ourselves, right? The fake it till you make it. You think through and say, well, I woke up not feeling good, but now I'm feeling great. Well, let's think through. Oh, the 3 cups of coffee you had. Wow. You weren't feeling great. You just faked it till you make it. But this tool says, no, you're not doing well. And for me, if I see a reading that's like 84 or 85, all right, just give me 20 minutes. Give me 20 minutes. And I'll put myself into a place of good health and good performance. So I like that aspect of it as well.
Correct me if I'm wrong. When we spoke the other day, did you say that that pilot union was also using the assessment tool now too?
Oh yeah.
So talk to me about that.
Yeah, for us, everybody who has access to NuCalm. So we've got thousands and thousands and thousands of people across 100 countries. Everybody has access to this now. And you see right now we're doing a contest to get more and more and more folks. So this is really simple. Pre-flight, whatever that is, your checklist, all you're doing, you're just doing your assessment, and you can see, hey, if I'm going to do a long haul flight now, I need another 30 minutes of rescue, and then I'll get up and get my uniform on. So this is an incredible insight. And one thing that I love about working with military, active military, professional athletes, pilots, they're regimented, they're ritualistic, and they have their patterns. So this fits so well into their pattern, and it's a real simple assessment. Give me 35 seconds. Here you go. And then it tells you, here, this is what you need, or this is what we recommend. And the fact that we can do rescue in as low as 20 minutes changes everything for everybody. It doesn't feel so, obligatory. Oh, I got an 81 and I got to go fly and I'm going to fatigue mid-flight. I don't have 50 minutes to do rescue or 40 minutes. No, you can do it in 20.
Talk to me about the performance side as well. As we begin this revolution in the fire service, we can start forging or moving from what was basically the let's try and get them not to die that we were in, kind of like survival state where we'd have strength and conditioning coaches and nutritionists come in, but it was like, okay, let's try and get them to be less obese. Let's try and reduce the heart attacks. Well, that obviously shouldn't be a conversation in a very fit, well-rested profession. You look at the ocean lifeguards, in Maui, they're not having heart disease conversations. They're having, performance conversations. So it's the same with this. Now there's a talk, there's an opportunity for us to put fitness standards in and then get those strength and conditioning people as we get the workforce healthy and, job ready again. Well, how can we work on, muscular endurance and breath work and all these things so that 30-story climb with 100 pounds of gear is not only doable, then you have the capacity and the mental clarity to then go and facilitate a rescue on the 30th floor. So from some of these high performers in the sporting world, in the SF special operations world, how is NuCalm being shown to help forge performance and give them that extra 1%?
Well, we have teams that have won world championships. We have the Chicago Blackhawks that on record said, hey, without NuCalm, we wouldn't have won the 2015-2013 Stanley Cup. That begs the question, what are you talking about? And it's simple. The recovery aspect, so going from full muscle fatigue or full mental fatigue to refreshed. And Mike Gapsky, the head trainer of the Blackhawks, said it best when he said, we want our players to play intense, not tense. This is kind of oxymoronic, and it's not easy for high performers to understand this concept, but we're learning more. Recovery is key. Recovery is key to growth. Recovery is key to get the muscle spindles getting stronger and better. Fatigue and exhaustion isn't what it used to be. No pain, no gain, and keep going. No. In that recovery state, human growth factor is there. Everything builds upon the recovery side. So for us early on, from 2011 to 2016, it was all rescue. NuCalm was about, hey, give us 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes. We'll suspend you in that meditative state, and we'll give your body expedited recovery without drugs. We'll remove lactic acid. We'll remove inflammation. We'll remove any mental blocks, anything that happened the game before, whatever, done. That piece was really powerful, and we helped the best teams in the world get that extra millimeter or the extra 2 millimeters or extra centimeter, whatever it takes. It's hard for me. I was a college wrestler and martial artist and all that stuff, but I wasn't a professional athlete. So I don't know this little millimeter between, winning and being a champion. I don't know that, but we can see it. So that part is amazing. But then we expanded our outcomes. So how we had this is we have a matrix. It's literally a mathematical matrix, and it has a method. And the method is your central nervous system will not allow us to just take you into theta. You don't just put on the headphones and get on an elevator to theta. It doesn't work that way. So it takes us, we have something called the departure lounge. We take you down, we take you up. We take you down, we take you up. We take you down, we take you up. We're seeking permission from your central nervous system for you to relinquish control. Pretty fascinating. That's why in the first few minutes of rescue, nothing's really happening because we're seeking permission, and then something happens. So we have a matrix. We have the method. This method is the only patented method in the world for eliciting a state change in a human brain. What? Yeah, we did that. That was awarded to us in August of 2021. So in 2015 and 16, started working with Dr. Holloway and said, listen, if we can take everybody's brain to 4 hertz, can we take them all the way down to deep sleep at 0.5 hertz? Can we take them to creativity at 7.83 hertz? Can we take them to focus at 18.4 hertz? And can we take them to high amplitude peak performance at 41 hertz? The entirety of human brainwave function, the speed of the frequency of your brain, is directly correlated to your behavior. So we figured that out and we mapped it out. It took us 5 years from that point to basically build all the different outcomes. So here comes Ignite. Ignite. Probably the last thing you want to do to high-performing elite special forces snipers is give more adrenaline. But we did. So we said, here, we've got a gift called Ignite. Ignite requires no headphone, no laying down, or no eye mask. headphone or in-ear bud, 13 minutes, and we escalate and elevate you to this area. It's 41 hertz. It's the highest speed of human brainwave function. And in this state, James, your peripheral vision is increased. Your olfactory is improved. Your gross motor cortex is activated. Your sensory motor rhythm is activated. You literally are increasing your endurance and your strength and your threshold for pain. So this became quite the combination. Rescue to recover me and ignite to amplify me. That combination came to the world in 2017. So from 2017 to 2021, only elite military and only professional athletes had access to it. And it was incredible. It was incredible to witness the elevation of, the Washington Capitals. When Tony Robbins and I trained the Washington Capitals in a hotel room in Toronto, Canada, he said, guys, Tony says, so what's the local media say about you guys in the regular season? They said, we're lions in the regular season. What do they say about you in the playoffs? We're pussycats. Okay. Well, this changed that, and they won the Stanley Cup. So the opportunity for performance is fascinating to me, and it really makes me feel really hopeful for the fire department. And why is that? Because you've raised the common denominator. Let's not bring in strength and conditioning coaches to keep them alive. Let's raise the common denominator and allow them to actually go to the other side and perform, get better endurance, get better lean muscle mass. Everything is better, right? We know the physical health piece of life and longevity and happiness. There's a big physical element to it. So this opportunity now, you do rescue for your daily. Let's balance your nervous system. Let's make you the better human being you can be. Let's do the restorative sleep at night. And then let's ignite you and go to the gym and break your personal records. Tom Allen was a former medical director of the NFL. He was 74 years old at a time he called me up in 2018. And he used to call them the Fire Files. He said, Jim, I'm listening to the Fire Files. I said, okay. He said, I just broke my personal record for deadlift. I'm 74 years old. That's incredible. So we will amplify your brain and we will increase your endurance and increase your strength. So as an adjunct to working out, hell yes.
What was interesting, I wrote my book Kinder last year. And when I was writing, especially when you first start writing a book, if you haven't for a while, that monkey mind is just going crazy. And first you're staring at a blinking cursor, and then you start a little bit, and then that voice is like, oh, this is absolutely shit. No one's ever going to read this. And you have to fight that voice. And slowly you build it up. But, I also work from home. So I've got, my wife was here, when she wasn't at med school, and then my son's here every day. And so what I found was carving out a little time, but using focus. And not only did that really help me hone in and focus on the writing, and it was amazing because it was creative writing. So it wasn't like I was, typing dictation or something. This was something where I was allowing my mind to go to these places, and some of them were not the best places either. But then not only did it help me write the book, but I found like I slept better those evenings where I'd use focus as well. So by having that slightly heightened state, it almost punctuated, okay, this is daytime. And then when it came to nighttime, I felt like I slept even better that day.
Focus is amazing. Okay, so it almost seems like maybe we're talking like aliens, right? You and I are talking about something people don't understand. This is really simple math, ladies and gentlemen. Your frequency and the frequency of your brainwave directly is related to your mood, thinking, and behavior. It's that simple. It's just math. What James is alluding to is focus. And focus was the last of the 6 tracks or products that we built that basically helps you manage all 5 categories of your brain. Delta, theta, and alpha are slow waveforms in sleep. Beta and gamma are fast frequencies in action. Great. Focus we launched in July of 2022, and it takes your brain to 18.4 hertz. There is a specific frequency associated with the human brain learning. What? Yes, learning. Encoding new information, analyzing things, consolidating it to memory, learning. How many times in your life have you read something or were reading something, stopped, went to the bathroom, came back, and you don't even know where you were at. And then we start going backwards, you're like, I don't remember reading any of these pages. There is a learning zone. If your brain isn't between 15 and 20 hertz, don't bother, because you're not going to learn. If your brain is slower than 15 hertz, you're too fatigued, you're not going to encode it to memory. If your brain is going 20 or 25 hertz, you're too stressed out, distracted. So there's a learning zone. Well, the beauty of being neuroscientists and expert in the brain is we know these outcomes. We just have to deliver the method to get there. So focus with a headphone on takes you to 18.4 hertz. Doesn't ask permission. It doesn't say, hey, James, James is wanting to write a book and his wife's in medical school. Should we help him out today? Nah, it doesn't. It doesn't discriminate. It just mathematically takes you to that outcome. One of the cool things I like about focus, James, is that you can't do too much of it. 18.4 hertz is like this no man's land. It's innocuous. No harm, no foul. You probably also noticed this. When listening to focus, you had a mood elevation. You were happier. To me, this was an ancillary benefit. I didn't see it coming. It wasn't in the design of why we did it. But when we were testing this, I'd get up every morning and I'd walk outside. I'd go to the bathroom, I'd walk outside, and I'd be listening to focus with headphones. I'd probably look like the village idiot because I know I was involuntarily smiling. And I was just walking around the neighborhood smiling. I was like, this is bizarre. Well, here's what's cool. At 18.4 hertz, your brain's intentional. You're literally focused on what you're intending to focus on. There is no space for distraction. Now, distraction usually is in the form of worry, anxiety, anticipatory anxiety. Huh? Yeah, that's what distraction is. It's not happy thoughts. So by clearing out any distraction and mental clutter, right? We're getting rid of all the clutter in your brain. You're left with focus, incredible output. Your efficiency was probably legendary. Your ability to get more done in less time is legendary. So there's a method for creativity. So creativity, a lot of times it's not that we like writer's block or procrastination or we're just not good at something. It's got nothing to do with that. The amygdala has a really nefarious way of interfering with anything we want to achieve. It's really good at its job. It loves to work, and it's just a worrywart little almond piece of our midbrain. And it's not good. It's not helping us. So we usually tell people, hey, go do flow state first. Flow state gets rid of the garbage. It takes all the stress out and it holds you in that creative state. You don't really remember what happens in flow state, but it's in your subconscious. So that cleans you out and gets you prepared. Then you go sit in your office with your ideas, you put focus on, and it flows. So for you artists out there, there's a whole method, and that would be flow state to prepare your mind for awesomeness, not distraction, not worry, not insecurity, not reading something and say, this is pure shite. I can't even believe I thought this was good 2 seconds ago. None of that. And you just get into flow. So yeah, focus is, for us, we're beginning to focus our attention on focus for students because of the overuse of Ritalin and Adderall and everybody claiming to have ADHD and all the craziness happening on universities. Kids are really suffering. They're becoming more isolated. They're anxious. They're self-medicating, whatever they're doing. They just need to focus. You're there to learn. So in 90 minutes, we can help you do what's taking you 3 to 4 or 5 hours and do it well, actually learn something.
Yeah, I mean, I can attest to that. I mean, the story that I chose to write, because I'm an absolute glutton for punishment, was so complex. So it had all these moving parts, and a lot of it was also observing real history. So I had to do the research for that. And and it all just came together. And then all these ideas would come out of nowhere. I think a lot of people, when they write something, it's like, okay, I wasn't actually writing it. Something was writing it, and I was just kind of the vessel to put this on paper. But it was being open to that, allowing yourself to receive these ideas, and then, again, write these descriptions and not be hypercritical every single word that you write. Because, I mean, even Stephen Pressfield talks about that, the resistance. Like, if you can get those voices to go away and just, again, like we were talking about, carry on being the door kicker, the end result is worth all this work. So, I mean, I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. And then, like I said, I think because of the intensity and acuity that you have, I feel like the mind is more satisfied at the end of the day. And that's where the better sleep comes from as well.
Well, you burn good calories. Many of us burn a lot of mental calories on fear, worry, anticipatory anxiety, thinking about things we can't control in the future that haven't happened yet. I mean, it fatigues us, but you're in focus. You're not, and you're using good energy. Plus, you feel satisfied. You actually got something done, and you're like, "Wow, I'm making progress." Now, if you don't get something done, the amygdala wakes up and says, "Hey, you didn't get shit done. You're a loser. What a procrastinator. You know the deadline's coming." Right? So that fatigues you. So you're right. You're not going to sleep as well. So yeah, it's focus is an amazing gift for anybody who wants to do more mental work and get things done better and faster.
Yeah. And again, applying it to my profession and, the associated first responder professions, if you've got your three, oh my goodness, PCRs down on medical calls, the reports that we've got to write, and you just go into the report room and you put on focus. I obviously didn't discover it till I was at the fire service, but I can see how tell your partner, hey, give me a nudge if we get another call, how that would help you lock in and get those. Because trying to do that when you're exhausted is a nightmare. And obviously, it would be nice to take a 20-minute, focus or rescue, but you might get a call. But at least if you, power nap or rescue, but at least if you can put focus on, it might help you until you get that next call.
And you can also, en route to an accident, so you get the call and now you're en route, you can listen to focus or ignite.
Yeah, depending on the call, you might not want to burst out of the fire engine on a
not.
pediatric drowning.
Yeah, but that will amplify that energy so that you're not like, oh no, I don't have anything in the tank.
Yeah,
it'll fill your tank quickly. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I want to hit one more area, and then we'll go to some closing questions. Getting away from the kind of psychology and a little bit more into the physiology. Talk to me about the advances when it comes to TBI and all the kind of head trauma side of this application.
So yours truly, 56 years old. When I first met Dr. Holloway in March of 2009, and then I was in his presence in his clinic in Texas, he was the first person to diagnose me with TBI. And my response wasn't kind, because denial is my medicine of choice. And as I reflected on it and sat with this, he said, listen, seriously, when you turn 50 years old, you're not going to be able to tie your own shoes. Your brain is damaged significantly. Okay. He came to me that trip, dropping me off at the airport, got out of the car, extended his right hand. He said, Jim, I want to make a deal with you. I'm going to keep you healthy if you make me wealthy. That handshake changed my life. And that handshake was the catalyst for me taking over this company as chairman of the board, president, and CEO. So as a use case, for 16 years, I've used rescue to balance my nervous system. And I don't have TBI. I'm 56 and I can tie my shoes. How does this work? So in trauma, TBI, concussion, CTE, any type of brain trauma, the body inflammation brings a tank to a knife fight. The body overcompensates in any kind of inflammatory response. It's not by design. It's not like, hey, we're going to interrupt the healing response and create long-term damage. It's just how the body is built. So with brain damage of any kind, repeated concussive acts, doesn't matter what it is, there's a shift physiologically, and the shift happens in the circuitry of the brain. So there's a diminished amount of blood flow to the hippocampus and the prefrontal cortex, which keeps you stuck as the recipient in a pattern of memory associated with the anxious response, which activates the amygdala and your fight or flight mechanism. This keeps you in a state of constant hypervigilance. You never get a break, man. Even in your sleep architecture, you never get a break. People think when you're sleeping, your central nervous system is quiet. No, it's not. Your central nervous system is evaluating you every nanosecond of every day of your entire life. That's why if you sleep with noise and the noise is interrupted, you wake up. That's why you sleep in quiet and there's a noise, you wake up. Your central nervous system has one job, self-preservation and survival. and will always do its job. Okay? So NuCalm oxygenates you. And when I say NuCalm, I mean rescue. Rescue is our core therapy. It's been around for 16 years. It's where all of our research was done. It's where all the surgical procedures are done. It's the catalyst and the platform for everybody. Stage 4 cancer, neurodegenerative disease, complex trauma, addiction, you name it. Everybody needs to solve stress first. This is the how. How can you help me with my sleep? Well, we solve your stress first. Once we solve your stress, everything gets easier. So you do rescue. And this is what happens. We take your brain to 4 hertz. And in 4 hertz, you have access to your subconscious. You have access for your brain to be liberated. Post-trauma, we create a narrative to protect us. We don't want to think about these things all day long. So we protect ourselves and we repress things and suppress things. Okay. But at 4 hertz, there is no control matrix. Your brain is capable of thinking about anything. And if it needs to think about something, it will. Same thing in the dream landscape. So at 4 hertz, here's what happens. You can have that memory. You can have the traumatic memory. The body cannot elicit the same response. There is no trigger to the amygdala. There's no trigger to cortisol and catecholamines. There is no HPA axis activated. None of the things that normally happen to the post-trauma brain that has the memory and elicits this response, the memory happens and the response doesn't. It's a separation. How's it working? How's it doing this? Well, when you're in 4 hertz, you're breathing 1 breath every 10 seconds, 6 breaths a minute. That's the ultimate diaphragmatic breathing of the human body. And oxygen is the healing element for you. Oxygen. So when you're in this state, we're opening up oxygen-rich red blood cells flowing from your toes to your prefrontal cortex, right here. So what happens with oxygen? Oxygen opens up to the areas that were restricted, the hippocampus and the prefrontal and frontal cortex. What does that allow me to do? It allows me to create what's called neuronal coherence, new cognitive pathways to old memories. This is fascinating. We are not erasing your memory. This isn't Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger circa 1987. We're not erasing your memory. You're allowed to have that memory, but the memory does not elicit the anxious response. And over time, the separation happens, just like when we, in our lifetime, date somebody and we think this is the person, and then we break up with them, and years later, we can't even believe we ever even dated them. It was like, did that even happen? Because separation from the memory to the physiological response. This is a gift from Dr. Blake Holloway, a man who spent his 73 years on this earth finding a way to help people downregulate the chaos of their brainwave frequency without drugs. And it just so turned out he did it so well. And then we spent together the next 11 years refining it and constantly innovating it to a place where it's so predictable today. So I can look into the eyes of any person with trauma and say, you're here. You're at the right place. We're going to take really good care of you. One thing that I know, we can do no harm. I can't tell you expressly the time it's going to take for you to recapture who you used to be before the trauma. I don't know that timeline. I don't know all the variables, but I know this. Every day you do rescue and every night you do deep sleep, we balance your nervous system. Your brain knows how to heal from the wounds that you can't see. This is incredible. And it's absolutely incredible to me. It's like, we can do that. Well, we do that every day, and we do that for warriors every single day. And it's some of the most rewarding stuff we do. When I look into the eyes of a veteran, I see often somebody who's filled with shame, someone who's filled with pain. Breaks your heart. Breaks your heart to see this. And they've been lied to by the medical community that wants to help them, but they're giving them mediocre incremental technologies that never worked. The technologies never worked. So they don't know any different. They don't know any better. And I look at them and say, hey, I know you tried everything. I know you've tried CVAC, hyperbaric. I know you've tried transcranial direct current stimulation. You've tried TMS. You've tried everything and nothing's worked. And you think it's you. You think you're the only broken person and you can't be fixed. It's not true. This technology is here for you. It was built for you. And it was built to help you restructure the physiological damage of your brain and allow your body to heal. And you know how rewarding it is to have the spouse get on the phone with me and say, my husband is back. You brought my husband back. I didn't do it. How incredible is that? All we did was liberate them from this. We can't fix what we don't even know what's broken. No one tells these people what's broken. They don't tell them any of this stuff. They don't say, hey, when you were traumatized, your central nervous system lost faith in you. What? When you were traumatized, your central nervous system lost trust in the universe. It doesn't feel it's a safe place. When you were traumatized, blood flow stopped in your hippocampus, in your prefrontal cortex. You're stuck. Your brain physiology is stuck. You can't unstick. What? I would like to know that. I think, I can't really go anywhere besides stuck in my own head, in my own narrative, in my own cycle of shame and confusion and pain and suffering and exhaustion, because I don't even know what happened to me. So it's so amazingly rewarding to know that we can help people. We can't harm a single human being. You just got to use it. Use rescue every day, deep sleep every night, and you will live the life you deserve to live.
Absolutely. Just quickly, what about autoimmune disease, knowing that that's also attached to a stress response?
All of it. Every single piece of it. Everything, early on, I didn't understand all the tentacles of NuCalm. But the more we helped and the more we innovated, the more we saw, the more I came to the conclusion, stress is a great equalizer. Everything is modulated by stress. We have autoimmune issues, mostly because we are too filled with cortisol, mostly because our lifestyle isn't in balance anymore. Our food supply isn't food, especially in America. Our environmental toxins are poison everywhere. We are poisoned by dopamine from this. This is like literally, I'm not a religious guy. But if I believed in the devil, I would tell you that the devil invented this, invented the mobile device and social media. Because my goodness, it's destroying your brain. It is destroying your brain. It is destroying your attention span, your ability to think. It's destroying your dopamine receptor sites. It's destroying your gut. So James, 50 years ago, there was no proliferation of ulcerative colitis, irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's disease. These are stress diseases. Stress creates cortisol. Cortisol sits in your gut. The acid in your gut messes up your microbiome. What? It's all immune and it's all stress modulated. If we can resolve stress, and one of the beauties of NuCalm is we have the only patented solution in the world. This isn't patented Band-Aid. It's not patented symptom management. This is the only patented solution in the world. We solved it. All you need to do is use it. And over time, any immune issue you have, from Crohn's disease to Lyme disease, guess what? We're going to give your immune system strength back. Why? We lower the cortisol. We lower the stress. We give you the restorative sleep. Your body knows how to heal.
Beautiful. Well, I want to go to the closing questions quickly and be mindful of your time. The first one I love to ask, is there a book or are there books that you love to recommend? It can be related to our discussion today or completely unrelated.
That's a great question. Well, the first book I'd recommend is a book written about NuCalm, A New Calm. Why? Not because I'm a biased CEO, but because we're talking like really advanced brain science, okay? But wouldn't you like to know about your brain? Wouldn't it be cool to actually understand the operating system of your brain? This was written not like 6th grade level, but like 3rd grade level. And so this was written about the science of NuCalm, but it's also written about the biology of addiction. And it's a really fascinating read. So this one I love. My favorite book that I've read in the last 10, 20 years, this is kind of off point, is Gore Vidal's book about Lincoln. I love the English language. I love to learn words. And Gore Vidal is one of the most incredible writers. Literally, you have to read with a dictionary by your bed. But I loved Gore Vidal's Lincoln. I thought it was an amazing story of an amazing human being. We give him credit where credit wasn't due, and we don't give him credit where it was due. But just the way they lived in 1860, etc. Love that book. Gore Vidal is a great author. And then two of my friends, Tony Robbins and Jim Quick. So Limitless with Jim Quick, Awaken the Giant Within. And there's one other book, another friend of mine, Play Big, Dr. Tom Hansen. So one of the top sports psychologists in the world, and just a really good expertise on the mental strength for baseball, literally baseball. He interviewed Pete Rose, and he said, Pete wasn't plagued with over-exuberant intelligence. He didn't get lost in his head. He just said, see ball, hit ball. Okay, that's pretty simple.
That's filtering it down.
So yeah, those would be Tom Hansen, Jim Quick, Tony Robbins, three of my favorites, three great authors. Gore Vidal for just, we don't spend enough time in history, and thus we repeat it a lot. We don't learn generationally. We either, because we're too egocentric and narcissistic when we're youthful, and then we're too busy when we're older, but we're not learning enough from our elders when we're repeating. History repeats itself, and it should. We should actually learn and evolve and grow. And then the NuCalm book, just because why not learn about your brain?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think the other problem is if you don't learn from history, then there's people that will do the exact same thing to your generation that will stop you learning from history. So they'll distract you with tweets and other stuff like that.
Yes.
So anyway, I digress. What about documentaries and films?
Films and documentaries. I used to be a really big film buff. To be honest with you, I like the stories of justice. Braveheart's one of my favorite movies of all time. Dr. Zhivago is one of my favorite movies of all time. How can people in the Russian Revolution find such love in the face of chaos? The English Patient. So you're starting to see a theme. For a tough guy, wrestler, all that stuff, I'm a romantic at heart, man. I'm soft on the inside. So yeah, I would think that my movie choices are large, epic love stories when it all comes down to it. Those would be my three favorites. So if I had to watch three movies for the rest of my life on a deserted island, I'd watch those three: Dr. Zhivago, Braveheart, and The English Patient. Documentaries, I can't think of a single documentary in the moment that has any merit in my heart. Probably because, remember, I'm a workaholic. I don't watch a lot of television. I don't watch a lot of sports anymore. Let me think here. I should be able to come up with a documentary that would be amazing. Probably the last one I did see was the story of the Red Sox and the Yankees. So there you go. I'm a Red Sox fan. My father was a Yankee fan. I grew up in Connecticut for the first 11 years of my life. And Connecticut's a unique state in America where you can select, are you going to be a Red Sox fan or a Yankee fan? Those are your two selections. You can't be a Mets fan. And I selected the Red Sox, which was a poor choice for most of my life. But the Red Sox have won 4 World Series, and the Yankees have only won 1 in the last 20 years. So we've turned the tide. So, yeah, there you go.
All right. Well, the next question, is there a person you'd recommend to come on this podcast as a guest to speak to the first responders, military, and associated professions of the world?
Wow, that's a great question. And yes, there are several people that I can think of. One would be Dr. Richard Schuster. He's a good friend of mine. He's a neuropsychologist. He's got his heart as big as mine and yours, and a desire to help those suffering from trauma. Now, everybody on this earth has some trauma. It's really the magnitude of the trauma. But I think Richard Schuster would be a great one. I think my esteemed colleague in the Comprehensive Cancer Wellness Program would be another great one, Dr. Janet Ranicky, MD, PhD. She's a psychoneuroimmunologist. She doesn't need to get on here and talk about cancer. She can get on here and talk about your brain, your emotional health and well-being, and the contribution that trauma has to disease. She's a delight. She's very, very bright and an angelic force of nature. And then maybe some of my special forces operators friends, because they have a parallel path. They see and witness things that the human brain cannot reconcile, and they've sacrificed a lot to be here. So I won't name names, but off record, I'll give you some ideas on some special forces operators I think would be really good contributors to this.
Yeah, please, let's make it happen. I think all those would be great, because I think this is what I like to do, with anything that I'm extremely passionate about, is obviously talk about it from different lenses. So, obviously as the CEO, of course, you're going to have a vested interest. So, but what are the SF guys seeing? What are the neuroscientists seeing? And so you get these layers. So I think it would be amazing.
Well, yeah, they don't even have to bring up NuCalm. They're gonna contribute in ways that are just amazing, and I think they'll like that. There's one other gentleman. His name is Alan Wiederhold, and he's got a product that I really like, and it's an electrolyte product that's not just electrolytes. Electrolytes are necessary, and they're really good actually to have your electrolytes before you do NuCalm, because it helps with the electrical signaling. It strengthens the rescue experience. However, his electrolytes seem to be unique because he adds in elements like GABA and L-theanine, and inhibitory neurotransmitters that help with the relaxation response. So he's got a unique product, and he's also a veteran with a big heart.
What's his product called?
NUMA, Neuma, NUMA Health.
Brilliant. I'll look that up. All right. So the last question before we make sure everyone knows where to find NuCalm and yourself: what do you do to decompress these days, aside from NuCalm?
That's it. I'm very regimented. My life is very regimented, and my days are not normal. And like yesterday was the weekend, and I worked about 9.5 hours on a Sunday. And I thought that was a good day, because I love what I do. My purpose is my passion. My passion is my mission. All of that's fine. I love working on the weekends because I don't have to respond to anybody. I get to select and choose what I want to work on the weekend. So my life is not human anymore. It hasn't been for a while. It's very, very kind of like this. And so the only thing that I can do would be, I do enjoy singing, which sounds weird, but I work with the #1 vocal coach named Roger Love. And I sang in a band for like 19 years of my life. And I sang because I played lead guitar, and I sang just as a means to an end. But I never understood voice. I didn't understand how to connect my chest voice with my mid voice with my head voice. And so I would jump from chest to high voice. And so Roger's my vocal coach. And it's been really amazing. I don't know how amazing it is for my family, because they get to hear me singing every morning or whatever we do. But so singing for at least 15 minutes every morning as I prepare, and then NuCalm. And so for me, NuCalm's in my life all the time. So I do rescue in the afternoon as my restorative, make 2 days out of one. I have one day from 5 a.m. to like 3, and then I go NuCalm, and then I have another day till about 10 o'clock at night. And I love that. I love focus while I'm working. I listen to Ignite every morning to start my day, because we're international. So I start with, international emails and stuff. I listen to Triumphant and Ascend every morning, and it just clears any cobwebs and makes me feel really good. So I am a NuCalm junkie, and I use it very methodically and ritualistically as a means to an end to get me to where I need to get to.
I went to Welsh College of Music and Drama in Cardiff for a year, did like a 1-year acting certificate, I guess it was, or whatever, diploma, whatever they called it. And I remember the musical theater class I was practicing for a song, and a gentleman walked all the way across the street from a house that was a few houses out, down the street, knocked on my door just to tell me to shut the fuck up. So I don't know if I would have made it in the music industry, to be honest.
Whatever vibration didn't resonate with him. That's it. That's impressive. That's like an achievement in and of itself.
I think so. I could have been used as a weapon of war, maybe. So who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, wow, that's really intriguing and impressive. Roger Love's amazing, and there's a lot of physiology to the voice, and obviously with breath, it oxygenates you and makes you feel good anyway. So after every morning of my routine, I feel really elated. Actually, it's quite cool. But he has me singing Journey songs. He has me singing Eagles songs. And I told him, I said, we need to sing things that are a little bit more in my range because my brain knows how Steve Perry sounds and I don't sound like that. So I'm straining and it's not good.
It does feel good though. I still sing, and I did take singing. I wasn't terrible, but it was like some god awful screamo song that I was practicing. But I remember leaving the vocal lessons after when I was still pursuing that whole performance space, and you do it does do something good to your soul, and it doesn't mean that anyone has to listen to you. But I think that it's like these people that take dance classes when they're adults, so no one has to watch you perform.
No, so that shower time is great. A car time is great. I'm gonna go away from the mic for a second. I'm just gonna showcase to you something really simple. I can if I want. I could never do that before. I have no idea where that even came from. So as
vibrato.
So as I'm learning and I'm getting all this stuff. So yeah, that's been a really cool side passion. My wife's like, "What are you doing? Why are you doing that?" I said, "Well, your voice is important, and my voice expresses our mission, and I'm on stage a lot, so I'm improving my voice." Well, turns out I can sing better than I thought too. So there you go.
There you go. All right. Well, for people listening, where can they find NuCalm? Where can they find the free trial? And then if you want to add it as well, if there's anywhere else to find you specifically online.
www.NuCalm, NuCalm. So NuCalm, the genesis of the name came from our competition, which is Old Calm in the forms of drugs and alcohol. When you're stressed, those products work. Well, we're NuCalm, NuCalm. The free trial is available on the website. And it doesn't matter if you buy it outright or whatever you do, everybody gets 7 days free. And there are monthly subscriptions, there are annual subscriptions. And think about this. A couple of years ago, this was a $6,000 FDA Class 3 medical device with one product, Rescue. Today, it's a monthly subscription, mobile app, and a headphone for as low as 50 cents a day. And there are 6 products. So we're in a really good place to take care of a lot of people, and affordability is not an obstacle anymore. We think you're worth 50 cents a day. You should think that as well. So come there, check it out, try it. The 7-day free trial is curated. We want to help you. We want to help you be a better human being, and we can do that. And then for me personally, I don't have any social media. So one of the things about being in the brain science world is I kind of know how to protect myself. So I'm impregnable and I'm insulated from social media. I literally have no social media. So to get a hold of me is Jim, Jim .Poole at NuCalm.com. Or if you're bold, 302-383-1450. I'm old school. I'm 56 years old. So I'd much rather have a discussion with somebody than getting behind a keyboard. So 302-383-1450. And again, that'll probably be one of the first and only Delaware area codes in your phone. We're like mysterious, 302.
Well, again, I want to say it is absolutely worth it. If you want to do the free trial first, just to kind of dip your toe in, 100%. But I mean, I've been using it for years. Like I said, my family have. And then I've had other friends that have asked, "Oh, what was that thing?" And they've had incredible results too. So I cannot speak highly enough about it, and I don't do that about very many things at all. So I want the people listening who I know how hard they work for every single dollar that they have to only invest in something that's truly going to have a high ROI. So I think it's incredible. I want to thank you not only for bringing this to myself and my family, but also the second time coming on the podcast. and being so generous with your time. So thank you so much, Jim.
Thank you, James. And I just want to applaud James for your effort, your passion, your commitment, your perseverance. We have to gather amongst ourselves to help people because it's not easy to help people. We normalize dysfunction and we create obstacles to our own success, and we don't know what we don't know. So together, holding hands and expressing what can be, your work is admirable, respected, and necessary. So thank you.